officially
Okay.
to the Zoom room for another Ask, Let and Go live session. So let's dive into today's teachings. I'm going to share my screen with you. Let's have a look at today's quote. Give me a moment to bring that up. I'll share my screen. You can read the if you can read the quote for us, that'd be great. And then
I'm just getting glasses.
you're doing what?
My glasses.
You're getting your glasses. Okay, good idea. You do that. I'll expand this for a bit. Make it a bit bigger. There we go. Okay, it's a very, very simple quote. Let's share it here. Yeah, so if you can kick it off with reading Eckhart Tolle's quote, kindly.
The moment you realize that you are not present, you are present.
Yeah,
The moment you realize that you're not present, you are present.
So it's just an awareness that, okay, I'm not present. But the moment you do that, you're coming back into presence. So there's, as Eckhart says, there will inevitably be times when you move out of awareness of the present moment. But just by becoming aware that you've done that, you're already being present again. So, okay, I slipped out. I went into past, future, into thought, but I come out of it. And we've all done that, haven't we? You know that you go, oh, hang on, where was I? And you come back and you go, wow, I was down the rabbit hole. I was thinking. I was lost in thought. One of Eckhart's quotes from Stillness Speaks is very, very simple but very profound. It says the human condition, lost in thought. That's it. Like just lost in our thoughts and not present to what's here and now, which is our true awareness. So rather than getting frustrated or angry with yourself, and you just observe objectively how your mind wandered into thinking about the past or anticipating the future, your attention is already in the present moment, because it's the only alternative to the past future channel of the ego that Yes has been training us to become more aware of through the last 3 workbook lessons. If you're following the program, they're all about the past, saying, you know, I see only the past. And this is from yesterday's lesson. So read that quote, which I think states it very well. Very, very. This is the only course I've ever seen it stated as bluntly as this. It's a great, a great understanding to have. If you can understand what he's saying here.
Very few have realized what is actually entailed in picturing the past or in anticipating the future. The mind is actually blank when it does this, because it is not really thinking about anything.
Quite funny. You think, you know, so all these past future thoughts we think are so real, actually our mind's just blank. We're not even thinking. It's quite a statement, actually. It's one of those statements that's designed to really wake us up out of our sleep and go, hang on. And obviously the ego doesn't like that and resists it and goes, well, you know, how can that be? Surely these thoughts are real. But this is saying, no, these thoughts are not real. You're thinking. You think you're thinking, but those thoughts aren't even real. It's just a bunch of chaotic thoughts that cover over your true awareness. There's a photo of a quite a smart woman, but she's clearly not in a happy place. She's like all in her mind, and yet behind her is nature and water, but she's just, let's say, like, no, I'm cutting all that out, and I'm just in my own mind, in my own hell, really. So that kind of leads us quite nicely into the lesson. Anything else to share in terms of the course? How's it going?
No,
How are you sleeping?
no, my sleeping, I got a Apple Watch for my birthday from my mom. And it's interesting, the days you're not doing the meditation and you're not doing some of the practices, how much, sorry, I just want to turn the sound down on my phone. The quality of your sleep is very different. 2 days I do the meditation before I go to bed, and that, it goes up to 93. They've got a scoring thing, and it goes up to 93, and other days it's about 73. So it's interesting to see that and the difference it makes, because you're not thinking. When you're doing the meditation, you go into that stillness. And especially if I do it before I go to bed, that just literally takes, that day I cut off when you'd finished that long meditation and observing the body and all of that. I realized I needed to go to bed there and then, because I was so relaxed and so quiet. And that's exactly what I did. And honestly, it was still my best night's sleep. That long meditation and then going straight away to bed. It just does something amazing. And I found that last time I did your course as well, just doing the meditations before bed definitely makes a big difference. And
Well, it just
yeah.
settles everything. It stops the mind, puts you into an alpha state. And then it's quite easy to slip from there into sleep. It's so natural. You're half asleep anyway. So okay, just let yourself go into that.
And
Deep sleep.
talking about being present, I've been making a big pot of tomato soup, but it's not just cooking it. I roasted all the fruit, the vegetables, and did my whole process. But while I'm cooking the tomato soup, I'm so aware of the smell. When I'm cutting things, I'm aware of what it feels like, the smell that's coming up, you become so present with that. I'm not in a rush, so you're literally enjoying each moment of what you're doing. And I was so in the moment of even peeling the tomatoes, because I roast them, and then you don't want the skins in the tomato because it makes it bitter, and you get little bits of skin. So you take all the skins of, even doing that, not judging it, just enjoying the moment. You become so peaceful.
So it's a moving meditation. So if you look at some of the practices they do in these monasteries, like those mandalas that they make, and various other practices, especially in Zen and other Buddhist teachings. It's designed to bring you into the present moment. Sit there and you're making these intricate mandalas, and you're putting little bits of colored sand, and it's so calming for the mind, because the mind is just absorbed fully in that activity. And so it's a meditation, which of course they understand. That's why they do these practices. To put
But I was just,
practitioners
I could
into that state.
feel the calmness, just enjoying the smell, the stickiness of the tomato on my hand. I was roasting the garlic and upsetting my husband. But I wasn't judging the garlic. I was just going through the flow of it. And as I'm doing it, just, oh, what a flow this is, just this absolute joy that was happening. And sure, it's quite amazing to be in the moment and enjoy the stickiness and enjoy each part and not judge any part of it. And even the smell of garlic roasting. Yes, it's that presence and how quickly we get out of it by somebody distracting us or the TV blaze, or how quickly we can get away from that moment.
Yeah, we have a culture where the mind always tries to come in and trick us into paying attention to things that are essentially irrelevant. So TVs, digital devices, it's just noise, and takes us away from just, yes, I'm in the moment and I'm doing an activity in the moment. I'm very present. So I'm not thinking overly about it. I'm just really present. I'm chopping the vegetables, I'm smelling, and I'm actually enjoying the process. And sometimes I listen to podcasts if I'm cooking, but sometimes it's like I quite just like just doing it. You know what I mean? Like I don't have to do anything else. I'm just doing it. I'm spending half an hour doing it, and that's what I'm doing. And it's rewarding to spend your time like that. It's actually quite relaxing because the mind isn't now thinking about all kinds of other stuff. Yeah, most of the time I'm going, okay, so I've got multiple things going on, and I'm working on this. So my mind is busy, and then that's just okay, just stop and pause, and you don't have to think about that stuff, and you can just focus on the present moment. So it becomes a form of meditation. So yeah, let's go to the lesson. If you want to catch the meaning of the last judgment, we discussed the section 8, chapter 2, which is today's reading. So read that. You'll notice we just can't get through it all in the live session. So I give all this to you. You can go and you can listen, download the podcast and listen, and get a take on it. And there's a lot of in those discussions we go into quite a lot of depth into that particular section of the text, the meaning of the last judgment. So that leads us nicely into today's lesson. So let's have a look at this is lesson 9. It's going to okay. So if you can lesson 9, if you can read
Okay.
read it in the original and then in the alternative.
Okay. I see nothing as it is now. I perceive nothing as it is now.
So just change see to perceive, because it's not just about seeing with our physical eyes. It's perception, which happens through all of our senses. So if I perceive nothing as it is now, that's quite a statement. Okay, so what am I perceiving?
It's very powerful, actually.
At least, and the more I do this course, the more I'm going, this is brilliant. To say these things in one simple sentence, the profundity of what he's saying in one line, in a few words, is extraordinary. I perceive nothing as it is now. That's almost like a Zen koan. Okay, so what does that actually mean? If I'm perceiving nothing as it is now, then what am I really perceiving? Am I perceiving truly? It leads to a whole thought process and self-inquiry that is amazing. That's what makes the workbook lesson so powerful. Even the 20th time you do it. I think this is the 20th year that I'm doing the lessons, but I never tire of them. So, okay, there's that idea is as profound as it's ever been, and every time you contemplate it, there's another level of insight. I was like, oh, okay, I can never really get tired of it, which is quite amazing, really. And that's one of the hallmarks of truth, is that it has these deeper levels of significance. You know, the more you work with it, the deeper you go, and more reveals itself. So you never get tired or bored of it. Whereas something that doesn't have that, you can read it once or twice, and then you're like, right, I'm done. You know, like there's nothing more there for me. But with the Course, that's not the case, as we know.
You know what's interesting about that statement, John? There's no judgment in it. I perceive nothing as it is now. He's not judging us. He's not, but he's really making us question what we're seeing.
Yeah. Definitely. And he's doing it from first person. You know, I perceive nothing as it is now. Okay, so he's asking us to accept that for ourselves, that that's true. That I'm really not perceiving anything correctly, anything as it is now. And then what does that even mean? What does it mean to perceive? All kinds of, it stimulates a whole load of questions, and it shakes up the ego's foundation. Remember, in the early parts of the Course, that's what he's trying to do. He's trying to rattle the ego's cage and make us go, hang on, you know, okay, maybe all is not what it seemed. And suddenly that foundation of the ego that I thought was so solid is being shaken a little bit and questioned. And he's starting to undermine it, which is why, of course, it's difficult, because it doesn't feel good for the ego for that to happen. The ego, in fact, is like, oh, this is terrible. I don't want to do this course. It's too difficult. I just want to go back to how I was. You know, that was kind of okay. All these ideas are just, you know, they're doing my head in. I'm not understanding them, and on it goes. You know, all of the resistance, because it doesn't want its thought system to be undone. So, of course, it's going to do that. But I don't know a more effective way of doing it than this mind training, where he's questioning. It's in such simple ways. Each lesson is just questioning a part of the ego's thought system and getting you to really look at it differently. Brilliant. I mean, amazing, you know, amazing wisdom in one line. And then, of course, he unpacks it for us. But the key, I think the brilliance of it is that it's one simple sentence. The workbook wouldn't be nearly as powerful if there were 2 or 3. Only right at the end, in the last sort of 10, 15 lessons, it gets a bit longer, the key lesson. But until then, it's one line. It's one sentence with, you know, often very few words, as this one is. Okay, so this idea obviously follows from the 2 preceding ones. Maybe we should just look at those preceding ones. So let's do that, shall we? Just so we get some context. Where are we? Course in Miracles. Lesson. How's that going to work? I wonder. I think it may not. No, it's gone to lesson 90. I'll find it for you, don't worry. Workbook. Lesson
7 is I see only the past, and lesson 8 is my mind is preoccupied with past thoughts.
Yeah. So those are the preceding ideas, all based on time and particularly the past. I see only the past, my mind is preoccupied with past thoughts, and then I see nothing as it is now. Okay, so go back here, we'll read it over here. So if you can read that first paragraph for us.
This idea obviously follows from the 2 preceding ones. But while you may be able to accept it intellectually, it is unlikely that it will mean anything to you as yet. However, understanding is not necessary at this point. In fact, The recognition that you do not understand is a prerequisite for undoing your false ideas. These exercises are concerned with practice, not with understanding. You do not need to practice what you already understand. It would indeed be circular to aim at understanding and assume that you have it already.
Yeah, so a little bit of coaching. Sometimes he zooms out of the lessons and he talks about the process, and that's what he's doing here.
Mm.
He's saying you may not understand it, but that's okay. Just practice it.
And
Keep
that's
practicing.
exactly
Understanding will come.
my life. It's the constant practice that there are these tiny little steps. It wasn't a massive thing. It has never been a massive thing. I think just keeping up with the lessons, following each day, that's what changes you. Because you don't have to understand it. You only
he
have
says
to
you won't understand it. That's kind of the whole point.
Yeah.
If you'd already understood it, you wouldn't need to practice. You don't understand it, which is why you need to practice so that the understanding will come. I mean, it's super logical. What he's saying is completely logical, but the ego in its twisted way is going to say, well, you know, I don't really get this. So I'm not going to practice. You know, I need to understand in order to do this course. It's like, no, you need to do the course precisely because you don't understand. That's the whole point. So just wherever you are, practice. Do the practice, read the lessons, do them to the best of your ability, and know that it's a process. And if you're in it for the long haul, you'll do the lesson again next year, and you know, next time you do it, it might mean more. You see more. It means more. Certainly, I mean, the first time we read these lessons, I don't think anyone really gets them fully. You get the glimpse, you get something, but you do you understand?
Sometimes you take the book and you're so mad with the lesson, you throw it in the dustbin.
So I've never done that actually, but
I did twice. I'm
chucked it in
not
the
doing this
dustbin.
drink.
Right.
And
Yeah,
then
I
go
mean, it's
that evening, all right, I'll
interesting.
pick it up and start again. Because
Yeah,
it pushes your buttons.
yeah, it does indeed. So then he goes on, number 2, if you want to read that. It's difficult for untrained mind.
It is difficult for the untrained mind to believe that what it seems to picture is not there. This idea is quite disturbing and may meet with active resistance in any number of forms. You see, throw it in the dustbin. Yet that does not preclude applying it. No more than that is required for these or any other exercise. Each small step you will clear a little of the darkness away, and the understanding will finally come to light in every corner of your mind that has been cleared of the debris that darkens it.
Yeah, so again, he's just talking about our process, how this process works. Each small step is a step in the right direction. It's baby steps, it's small steps. He's not asking us to have epiphanies and radical realizations and satori moments. And it's more, okay, so I do a little small step, I let go a little bit, and that clears a little bit of the rubbish away and the garbage in my mind. And if I keep doing that, you know, over the course of weeks, months, years, I'm going to get clearer and lighter and freer. And that often is a subtle process. You don't even necessarily notice that it's happening until one day you go, oh, you know, I'm actually very different from how I was a couple of years ago. I'm not having the same level of negativity, the same moods. I've actually changed. I've transformed. But it was, you know, gradually these little baby steps, gradual improvements. And that's how it is for most people. Most people don't get major epiphanies and breakthroughs very often. Anyway, it might be a once in a blue moon, once in a lifetime experience. But for most of us, it's more of a slow burn where you just, okay, I'm just going to practice. And fortunately, that's where he's pitched the course. So we'll just do that. And you're doing the course, and that's absolutely fine. Let go of all your expectations about outcome and just practice. Okay, so then the next one.
These exercises, for which 3 or 4 practice periods are sufficient, involve looking about you and applying the idea for the day to whatever you see, remembering the need for its indiscriminate application and the essential rule of excluding nothing. For example, I do not perceive this computer as it is now. I do not see or perceive this telephone as it is now. I do not perceive this arm as it is now. Begin with the things that are nearest you and then extend the range outward. I do not perceive that coat rack as it is now. I do not perceive the door as it is now. I do not perceive that face as it is now.
So what he's asking us to do is apply the idea specifically to whatever is around us, indiscriminately, saying don't select or not select or avoid anything, because this idea applies to everything. That's the methodology. So very cleverly he's saying apply the idea to specifics, because that's how you're going to learn it. No longer general. As soon as you say, I do not see this computer as it is now, and I really pause and reflect on that starts to change my perception of it. I start to question, okay, I don't see this computer as it is now. So what am I seeing then? I'm not seeing it now. What am I seeing? And these are the kinds of thoughts that this inquiry. So this is a self-inquiry, really. These lessons are designed to make us self-inquire and shake up the ego's thought system in the face of it. And then he says, don't try and include everything. Complete inclusion should not be attempted. Specific exclusion must be avoided. So we don't want to pick and choose in any way. So just be honest in making this distinction. So I do not see this person. Let's say you live with a child or a spouse, and you say I do not see this person, you name it, as they are now. That can be quite a major. Okay, so what am I seeing then? What I'm seeing is the projection of my own thoughts onto them. That's what I'm seeing. So I'm not seeing them as they are now. I'm seeing what I perceive them to be based on my own thought system. These are the kinds of ideas that come from this one idea. So yeah, let's just practice it briefly. I mean, it's a very, very simple exercise. He's only asking us to do it for a minute or so. So if you just breathe in and out through your nose, get into a nice rhythm with the breath. Center yourself, calm yourself, and close your eyes. Take a few deep breaths. There's the subtle sensation of the breath flowing into the nostrils and out of the nostrils. Bring your attention fully into the breath, and so fully into the present moment. Do 10 breaths, and just connect in with that presence. Embrace it, feel it, acknowledge it. Notice how you're feeling in that presence. Notice how present, how good that feels. When you've done 10 breaths, you're in this nice, calm, present state. Open your eyes and then just look around and apply the idea to whatever you see, just randomly. Whatever your eyes happen to rest on. So I do not see or perceive. If you prefer, you can use I do not perceive this wall as it is now. Then move on to the next thing. I do not perceive this floor as it is now. I do not perceive this book as it is now, and so on. And then look a bit further away from you. And apply it to another half a dozen things. Very slowly, very deliberately. Say it to yourself in your mind. As you're saying it, notice how you're feeling. What are you thinking? What are you feeling? Always important to recognize what you are thinking and feeling as you do these exercises. And then just to close it off, say, I see nothing as it is now, or I perceive nothing as it is now. So you look around, scan room. Notice any insights that come up, any related thoughts. And if you want to share any of that, then feel free to. Anything arose for you, Patricia?
Yes, something did arise for me. When you were reading the last bit and then you went back and you said, I do not perceive this person as they are now. I had a rush of, oh my word, we don't perceive people as they are now. As it is now. We perceive them purely through what we're projecting out. And even though you'd said that, it really came home to me. You know, even my phone, I looked at it and said, I do not perceive my phone as it is now. And all the attachment, all the feelings that I have about it just come rushing. Oh my word. We have so many attachments and perceptions of things that aren't even real.
And this flushes all that up. You know, when you say something like this person, that's why I threw it in, because that's generally more emotive than a door or a telephone or whatever. Although, you know, as we say, you know, we quite attached to our mobile phones, so there's quite a lot of emotion attached to some objects as well. But whenever you notice, if there's attachment to an object, and you say a lesson like this, and you notice there's a reaction, that's a good sign. Okay, so there's something there that this is making me aware of, that I need to be aware of, and I need to let it go in order to free myself.
And I think throwing people in there, whether it's your husband, your son, your daughter, your grandchildren, friends, whatever it is, colleagues, I think that was the biggest shock for me, because it's our perception that we hold on to more than who they really are in Christ.
Yeah, what we see is an image of them. If we're honest about it, we see an image of them, not just their body we know isn't real, so that's a visual image. But we see our own image of them that we've constructed in our mind. And that's a projection of our own self-image. We project onto them, and then we perceive them as we are, not as they really are. So we're not really seeing them as they are now. So then the question is, are you really seeing them at all?
Exactly.
Or you're just seeing an illusion of them. You're seeing an image of them that isn't true, but you've convinced yourself it's true. Maybe they believe it's true as well because they buy into the image and the projection, but none of it's true. That's the reality. None of it's ultimately true because they are not the body and they are not their personality and they're not the personality or the image that you've given them. They're not that. You made it up for them. You say, well, so any judgment is delusional because you're saying you are this and you are this and you are this. It's like you're just projecting onto them. You actually have no idea who they are. It's just a projection of your own deluded mind that then assigns those attributes to them and says you are this and you are this and you are this, irrespective of their behavior. They might have done something that would seem to warrant that judgment. That's of course the setup. That's the illusion. But they're not really that. Even if they did that behavior, and even if they do it consistently, that's still not who they really are. You're still projecting onto them and creating a mental image of them in your mind, which then becomes them to you. And now you relate to the image rather than to who they really are. And then we wonder why we struggle in our relationships. Hang on, nothing's real about it. My false self-image is interacting with the false self-image that I've constructed for them, and then throw in the mix that they're doing the same to me. Their false self-images. I mean, it's a mess. How can you expect any genuine relationship relating from false self-images? It doesn't happen, which is, of course, why special relationships don't work. But brilliant. I mean, just so insightful, so brilliant in the way that he gets us to think about these ideas. One simple idea like this gets us to really go quite deep and start thinking about these kinds of things. Okay, well, what about a phone? What about a person? How does this apply to everything? That's why he says be indiscriminate. It was very tempting to go, oh, well, I just ignore my phone because, that's I've got feelings about my phone. Well, I ignore that person. I won't apply it to the person because I've got feelings there, and it's a bit more challenging than to do it to a bed or a door or whatever, because I have no particular feelings about the bed or the door.
We're not as attached to those things.
Generally, unless, maybe you are. Some people might have a strong attachment to some object, just depending. But for most people, those things are more neutral. But take a person, or take your phone, which you spend so much time on, or a computer, or a TV, or maybe it's a substance that you like. Maybe you like alcohol, or you like cigarettes, or you like, then it's a different matter. So I do not see this, if you did it, if you had an addiction and you said, I do not see this bottle of wine as it is now. Again, that's quite a wake-up call. Hang on, I'm just projecting my own stuff onto it. I desire that bottle of wine because, I have this attachment, this addiction, but I'm not really seeing it as it is now. I'm just imposing my own desires on that. And someone else sees the same bottle of wine and they're not bothered. If they're not a drinker or they're a child, they don't even know what it is. They're not going to be bothered. That bottle of wine's not going to mean anything to them. But to someone who's attached to alcohol, it's going to mean quite a lot to them. And so this is what this lesson stimulates. It's like such a simple idea, but now you can go, oh, okay, if I actually apply it as you're saying, there's a huge amount of experiential learning that comes. You're learning these ideas by practicing them, and they're stimulating all kinds of thoughts and all kinds of other ideas in your mind, which is, I guess, the only way you're really going to learn it. If it was just theory and you never applied it to your life and to the things that you're perceiving, then it's just an abstract theory. You haven't really You haven't really learnt it. That's, the domain of academics and theologians, and it's all theoretical, but it's about applying it in your own experience to really learn these ideas. And the course is brilliant. These mind training lessons are absolutely brilliant at helping you to do that.
Yep.
Okay, so any other thoughts or comments or questions on the lesson?
No.
Yeah, really, really good one. And still working on it. If you're honest about it, I've been doing this 20 years, still working on letting go of the past, still working on, okay, am I perceiving from everything from a false perspective, because I'm not seeing it as it is now. I'm just seeing what I want to see, and I'm seeing what my ego wants to see. And this is really, really helpful in finding a sense of peace and calm, I find. So you go, okay, so I'm not really perceiving anything as it is now. So it's okay. I don't need to get upset by it. I don't need to get revved up, upset in any way. I can just perceive it, and there's a sense of detachment and a sense of awareness that underlies it. And so everything's calmer and clearer. When we don't have that sense of detachment, then it all becomes very important and usually quite stressful.
I have to say, in my own life, my attachment to things was really great in the past. But through the course, I found myself being very different with the things round about me, wanting less in a weird way, finding like less is more important to me than having a lot of stuff, which I had in the past. And finding so I got a new phone. It was the weirdest feeling opening it, because I could feel how unattached I was to it. I was glad I had a new phone, but at the same time, it was just a phone. It was a weird feeling. And I thought, oh my word, have I changed that much that it's just a phone? And, my grandchildren were more excited about it than I was. And so it was very interesting to see my own reaction as I was opening it.
Well, that's a good test, isn't it? If you can have something like that, which might ordinarily, oh, I'm so excited. No, it's like, well, why am I so excited? Because it's just another illusion. It's not really real. So get excited over nothing. And the ego says, oh, well, that's all a bit boring, because you have no joy or fun or excitement in your life. But of course, the flip side of that is you also don't have the pain and the misery and the suffering that comes from attachment. And
Your sound is gone, Johnny.
it's finding that equanimity is quite a nice word. In the Vipassana teaching, they call it equanimity, or when you're quanimous, which is really another word for forgiveness. Right? If you're equanimous, you've forgiven. You're not attached anymore. Same idea, just different language. So all of these ideas are designed to make you more equanimous towards people, places, events, things, so that you can just kind of flow through life. And you still interact with them, but there's none of that attachment anymore. And life is neither massively exciting, but it's also not disappointing and depressing. And you don't have these roller coaster rides of emotion up and down, which is, of course, what the ego likes. Becomes much smoother and calmer. Okay, so yeah,
It's
a really, really good lesson.
very good.
So
It's actually always been one of my, I don't want to say favorite because that's not really what it is. I just love the language of this lesson. I've always loved the language of it. You know, he talks about our untrained mind, which is quite a wake-up call that our minds are untrained. And
well, he's coaching us, isn't he? He's telling us in the first couple of paragraphs, okay, this is where you are, and let's just talk a little bit about where you are and what your process is, and then we'll get into the exercises. This is all really important to understand. And he knows by lesson 9, some people might be going, well, I don't really get this, so I need to come back to this when I have more understanding. He knows that's what your ego is going to be doing. So he's saying, well, hang on, just realize that that's insane, because we can't aim at understanding and assume that you have it already. The whole point of doing the workbook and the whole course is that you don't understand. And so there's a process to this, and that's all okay. If you don't understand, but you work at it, that's exactly what he wants us to do. Not have all the understanding already and read it and go, oh, yeah, I already knew that. And then what's the point? If you already knew it, then there's no point doing the course. So this is not a course for enlightened people. This is a course for unenlightened people. That's why you don't need courses for enlightened people. Ramana Maharshi wouldn't need a Course in Miracles because he's already there. He would read it and go, yeah, I understand it already. I understand it intuitively. This is a course for people who don't understand, which is 99.9% of people, because we think we understand, and then we really don't. Especially when you think you've got it. I don't know. I remember one guy. This was in a Buddhist context. So he just come into this Buddhist teaching called Nichiren Buddhism, which Deborah used to be involved with. And he did. I think he'd come to one lesson or a second lesson. He's kind of like, yeah, I think I kind of got this down now. I think I got it taped. And you just kind of go, okay, you have no idea, because there's such a depth of understanding that needs to happen. It's a lifelong journey. Of course, the older people in the group were like, all right, okay, we've seen this before. I kind of got this. It's all sorted, got it covered, understands. Like, no, you actually have no idea really of the depth of what it's saying. And just how deep that'll take you into your own mind, and how difficult it is to accept, what's being said.
Exactly. And it's brutally honest in a very gentle way.
Yeah, that's a nice way of putting it, actually. Brutal honesty in a gentle way is the course for you. So he gives it to us straight up, which is what I love about it. He's not sugarcoating anything. But he's also understanding that, yes, it's going to be difficult for us, and there's a process here, and that we need a little bit of encouragement, a little bit of, TLC to encourage us to keep going on what is a difficult journey. So he's not brutal. He's brutal in telling the truth, but he's not brutal in his approach. He's like he's a friend, he's a coach. He's saying, okay, so, just let's look at this. And he's challenging us without condemning us. I think that's the key thing. There's no condemnation ever in the course. He's just saying, well, okay, so you might be thinking this, and that's a mistake, but there's no condemnation. He's just saying, you want to really look at this, because it's not actually serving you anymore. So he's our best friend. He's our coach. He's our friend. He's our big brother. He's our guide. He's our mentor. He's our teacher, who's just there kind of in your corner saying, okay, so let's have a little chat. And that's what he does quite well. sometimes he takes us little time out from the lessons and he gives us a little coaching and says, right, this is about the process. We're not just talking about the lesson here, it's talking about the process that he's got us involved in. And I guess that's what any good coach will do. They'll get you to understand the process. Because if you understand the process and you buy into it, you're much more likely to learn and accept it and go, yeah, okay, I understand the process, it makes sense, so I'll go through the process. But if I don't understand the process, I'm likely to abandon it because I don't understand it. Okay, so all good. We've got about 40 minutes, so let's have a look maybe at these ones. Sorry, wrong one. Let's stop this. So I think let's dive into today's. We'll look at some of the pathways to higher awareness. Oops. Well, I got that. 12 pathways. There we go. So let's look at pathways 7 through 9. So they're really good ones. So this is the living love method. Very, very similar teachings to the course. Not anything majorly different, just phrased in a different way. This is the language of the new mindfulness movement in the 70s. You see he talks about programming and conditioning. So remember, this is when computers, the whole tech world is just developing, Silicon Valley, all of that, Apple, Microsoft, they all came in the 70s. So it's very topical. So he's used that framework to try and help people to understand these wisdom teachings. It's the same truth. All right, so this is pathway 7 through 9, which is about interacting with others. So if you read that first paragraph, kindly.
Flowing rather than manipulation is the way to higher awareness. Flowing means moving with the force around us and being in tune with the vibration of the people and things in our environment. Flowing enables us to find the love, beauty, and peace that we may seem to be missing in our lives.
Yeah, so talking about the flow, and flow, really in A Course in Miracles terms, is the same as a miracle. A Course in Miracles could be a course in flow. That's what he wants us to get into and stay in. So we're in tune with life, we're not resisting it anymore because we're forgiving or letting go of all of that resistance as and when it shows up. And so that means there's a beautiful flow, there's a harmony in our relationships, and our relationships start working better. Okay, so then he goes into the 7th pathway. So if you read that.
I open myself genuinely to all people, of being willing to fully communicate my deepest feelings, since hiding in any degree keeps me stuck in my illusions of separation from other people.
Yeah. A great idea. Again, very, very simple. What I love about these pathways is each idea is stated very clearly and simply.
Yeah.
And you can just contemplate on that idea and get a lot from it.
One of the things I learned in doing the course, and there was a moment, I became so aware of, and it's learned behavior that, things we learn from our parents and our other adults around about us, is I noticed that if I wanted something from my mom, I'd first go to Kimberley and then Durban and then Cape Town, Pretoria, and eventually get to ask her something. One day I went somebody actually asked me why I was doing that. I went, why am I doing that? Why didn't I just ask straight? And but the only way I could do it was from having done the course, because that made me see it so clearly. And so I found myself being much more genuine or direct in a loving way without having to scream and shout and raise my voice about anything. So much so my son says that the way I talk to my grandchildren is very different to the way I talk to them as children when they were children. I said, but that's because we change and we learn things, and we find out you can still be firm in a loving way without actually having to raise your voice or scream and shout. And I love this because I'm open myself genuinely to all people by being willing to fully communicate. I was sharing something with my mom, and I realized, and so I said, the reason I'm sharing this with you is none of my siblings are willing to be straight and honest with you. And she never took offense. She could see that it was coming from a genuine place. And she said to me, I don't understand how you've changed, but I like the person you've become. And I thought, wow, that was a real compliment. And I have to put it down to all these little steps in the course, in that honesty starts coming out, that openness, that wanting to be who you genuinely are, not the person we've been molded since we were kids. You can't do this and you can't do that, and these are the rules. You become a real person. It's the only way I can put it.
Yeah, become authentic.
Yes, authentic is the word I'm looking for.
Authentic in the way you operate in the world, the way you relate. And people notice that. So as you begin to upgrade all your addictions, you want to read that one?
As you begin to upgrade all your addictions to the status of preferences, or eliminate them entirely, you will discover that you no longer have anything to hide from other people. It then feels good to be able to communicate with others exactly what you are experiencing. As you grow into your higher awareness through eliminating your addictions, you will be able to drop all the perception and manipulative games you have been playing. It's exactly that. It's exactly that.
Yeah, very, very simply stated. Your addictions, your attachments, all of that creates a game in your mind, because you now need to play the game in a way that gets your needs met, and other people need to meet your needs. And we see that very prevalently with addicts. If the more addicted they are to something, the more dysfunctional the behavior becomes, because they're just obsessed with meeting their needs, and there's no concern for anyone else. They'll lie, they'll cheat, they'll deceive, they'll manipulate, they'll do anything to get what they want, and becomes very, very selfish, destructive behavior. So that that's the extreme of the ego. As you let go of those addictions, then what's going to make you deceptive? What's going to make you want to deceive and manipulate and play power games with people? Nothing. It's pointless. There's no need to do that, because I don't have wants that I need to be satisfied by them. I'm okay as I am. I can drop all of that. So he relates it back to the first pathways, which are all about, the first three pathways about freeing yourself, if you recall. I don't know if you did this.
I do.
From security, sensation, and power addictions that make you try to forcefully control situations in your life. and destroy your serenity and keep you from loving yourself and others. And that obviously feeds through into relationships. This is how it impacts relationships. You find yourself being freer, clearer, lighter, and able to fully communicate in the present moment with someone, and just be honest and say, this is what I'm really feeling, heart to heart, rather than this is what my ego wants from you. And immediately you do that, someone knows. There's a genuineness and authenticity. They feel that. They feel, okay, you're just being genuine and open, and so they tend to open to you. As soon as someone thinks that you want something from them, they close up. They're like, right, my guard's up. I'm defensive because you want to get something from me. And so I'm naturally defensive. And so, of course, then the communication isn't open and honest. All right, then number 2, read that, when you're not completely open and
when
truthful.
When you're not completely open and truthful to everyone, i.e., when you are trying to hide some of your inner thoughts and feelings from them, you perpetuate and strengthen the illusion of separation from others. One of the ways to escape from this wall of isolation is to communicate. Well, here I am. This is what my addictions are making me feel, and here and now. I accept myself, including my addictions, as being on an unfolding journey towards a more peaceful state of loving awareness.
Yeah, which is very gentle with yourself. Instead of beating yourself up because you're like, oh, there you are again. You're addicted to this. You've got no control. And then what tends to happen is you go, oh, well, screw it. I may as well do it. Because I may as well do whatever my addiction is because I've got no control and the ego's got you. Instead of saying, okay, so, I'm doing my best. I'm experiencing whatever it is, the feeling, the desire. And this is part of my journey. I'm facing the downside of the addiction, and I'm on this unfolding journey towards a more peaceful state of loving awareness. And I can choose that state right now if I want to. It may not be easy because my addiction is still there, and it may seem to be quite strong, but I have that choice still. That state of loving awareness is still available to me. So yeah, any other thoughts on that?
No, I think it's exactly that. Because when
Yeah,
you
you can always say this to another person. You can just say, look, I'm really struggling with this. Like, honestly, I'm struggling with this, but just bear with me. This is what I'm experiencing right now, and I'm doing my best to overcome this, but just bear with me. And who can really be angry with you if you say that?
Yeah.
It's just you're being open, you're being vulnerable. You're saying, look, I'm actually really struggling right now, and so I'd appreciate if you just give me a little leeway. Maybe I just need a time out. Just give me some space, or maybe I'd like you to just sit with me and let's chat, or just sit quietly with me and we'll meditate. Whatever. Just open, honest communication. But most of us don't do that. Most of us are like, oh, but that weakness will be judged. I'm defensive, so I won't share that because then I might be seen to be weak, and I need to show that I'm okay, but even though I'm not okay, and so then I pretend that I'm okay, and people know that you're not okay, but and then it creates separation. So like, are you okay? No, I'm fine, but they know you're not okay, so you're not being honest. You think how many times this happens in relationships. Yeah, okay. No, no, really, I'm okay. But actually, they're not okay. They just don't want to say it. So that happens all the time, doesn't it? This kind of thing. So then he goes on. If you're at the beginning of your journey, I'll read this one to give you a break. The beginning of your journey into higher awareness, you may find it helpful to communicate quickly and openly with others so that your relationships are always upfront. Remember, hiding separates, openness unites. you'll realize that open communication of your innermost feelings helps you and other people to become free of the addictive programming of the ego, which in the long run only produces unhappiness, isolation, and alienation. So
And
thoughts
that's
on
very
that?
true.
Hmm.
It's very true that, if you're doing your best and someone suddenly accuses you of doing something that you're not even aware of, you do alienate that person. You do begin to judge them. You do begin to become defensive in what you're doing, even though you've been open and, trying to keep things united rather than separated. But it can take someone attacking you and accusing you of something to just create that separation.
Hmm.
And then you do find yourself isolated and alienated from what's going on round about you.
Hmm.
And just share an example. I asked my son something, and my husband, I was hanging up washing, and he came and started accusing me of favoritism and all sorts of things. And I'm going, what are you talking about? So in my mind, I was like, I don't even know what you're talking about. But in his mind, he just saw this almost resentment and like attacked me. But at the same time, even though I was doing forgiveness, I just wanted to separate myself from him. I just wanted to walk away. So that it's interesting how a scenario like that does alienate us from each other.
Hmm. The natural desire is like, okay, I'm going to withdraw, I need to protect myself, okay, I need to go away, which is what the ego wants you to do because it's more separation.
Mm,
But if you're open and honest and you say, well, okay, so why are you saying that? And or say, this is making me feel this way. You saying that to me is making me feel this way right now, and I'm uncomfortable and whatever. And so maybe I just need a timeout.
mm,
Let's just pause this and let's talk about it in an hour. But so often we just don't have the awareness to do that. We react emotionally. And we say stuff, and in hindsight we go, well, I could have handled that better, and I could have said various things. In the moment we get triggered, the emotion comes in, and our options get closed down.
yeah.
The emotion closes the options down, so we're not able to then function properly. We just function in a very programmed, limited way, because that's what the ego's programming does to us. So the more we practice this, the more awareness we have, the more options we have, the more open, expansive. It doesn't mean we're always going to get it right. I mean, I'm still working on this. We're all still working on it.
Yeah,
You
that's the
read this
thing.
and you're like, oh, it makes so much sense, brilliant. But to actually apply it
yeah,
is
it's
another matter entirely. Yeah. When it gets difficult, we know how difficult relationships can be. I mean, it can get incredibly difficult and heated, and then your buttons get pushed, and then this awareness goes out the window, and you end up reacting egoically. But the mind training you must work through that and get better at learning to let that go.
yeah,
Using these kinds of ideas so that you don't get triggered, so that you don't respond egoically, so that you still stay open and honest and communicating no matter what. All right, so that's
yeah.
the seventh pathway, which leads nicely into the eighth one. If you want to read that in the bold.
I feel with loving empathy the problem of others without getting caught up emotionally in their predicament, that are offering them messages they need for their growth.
Yeah.
I feel with loving empathy the problem of others without getting caught up emotionally in their predicament, that are offering them messages they need for their growth. Yeah.
Yeah, great, great idea that we can apply to other people, which stops us from feeling sorry for them. This is the opposite of sympathy. Loving empathy counters sympathy. Sympathy is, oh, that's terrible in your emotional drama and in your pain. This knows what they're going through, but doesn't get caught up emotionally in their predicaments. Exactly what we're talking about with you know who. It's
Yeah.
being recorded, so I won't mention it. But
No.
exactly that. Loving empathy. I get it. I see where you're at, but I'm not caught up emotionally in the drama and in that predicament, because that's what you need to learn for your growth. And so you need to learn that. I can't really help you to learn that lesson.
No.
That's something you've got to learn yourself.
Mm.
It's important that you learn to feel the problems of other people with loving empathy without getting caught up emotionally in their predicaments. Empathetic understanding, yes. Pity and commiseration, no. So this is a very, very key point. The difference between sympathy and empathy.
Mm.
And most people don't know the difference. Sympathy is, I enter the emotional drama with you. Essentially, I'm drowning with you. Oh, this is terrible, and I feel the drama, and I'll get sucked into the belief that it's real.
Mm.
And every victim wants someone who's sympathetic to them because it strengthens their victim identity. So it's the classic, persecutor, victim, rescuer triangle. They want a rescuer, someone who's really sympathetic, but actually that person isn't really going to rescue them. They're just going to give them sympathy and confirm that they're a victim of the persecutor, whatever that may be. It may not be a person, it may be a life situation or circumstance. But that's what every victim wants. And so to give them sympathy is just to strengthen their victim identity. It's not helping them at all. Whereas empathy says, okay, I understand where you're at, but there is another way. There is a higher way here. And I need to hold that awareness for both of us. Otherwise, I'm just going to get sucked into the drama with you. And I'll drown with you. How do you save someone from drowning? You don't go and drown with them. You have to stay in the boat or on the shore, and you have to pull them out to a safe place. If you dive in with them and they pull you down, then you'll get drowned as well.
Yeah.
All right. So empathy means, you want to read the next one, but when you empathize.
Empathy. Did we do this other one? Yeah.
Yeah, I just read that one.
When
So,
you, yeah, you learn to not to give gifts that you cannot emotionally afford to give.
No, this one, which is
Empathy.
Yeah.
This one, yeah. Empathy means that when you empathize with the predicament of others, you silently send out a vibration. Yes, I know. I've been there too. Empathy means that you understand the duality and the separation they are creating in themselves by rejecting what is there here and now in their lives. But you do not get caught up in the poignant drama. Empathy means that you stay centered, calm, and loving whenever you are around them, for they are playing out their addictions, suffering because of them, and hopefully picking up the messages life is offering them.
Yeah, thoughts on that?
Yes, I think when people phone us with all their drama or whatever drama is going on round about you, is to just stay centered. And in staying centered, you actually helping them more, because when you agree with them, you're actually not helping them to see that there is a better way. You're not helping them to question what they're seeing.
Yeah, you're not helping at all. You're just keeping them enslaved. You're just
Correct.
saying ego program. So remember, the ego isn't going to like you challenging them because the ego just wants to continue. So it doesn't mean you're going to be popular. but you are genuinely trying to help them. And if they are open to that, then you could help them. If they're not open to that, then walk away. You don't have to force it on anyone. When they're ready, then they're ready. And sometimes they're not, as we discussed. Sometimes you say, okay, well, when you're ready to consider what I've said and make some changes, then yeah, let's talk. Otherwise, good luck. And you're in my thoughts, but I can't really help you. Which is empathetic, which is loving, which is kind, but not in the ego's judgment. The ego won't.
When COVID happened, we had a lot of people in the group that would send us all this conspiracy theory and everything else.
Yeah, I remember.
And I just go delete, delete, delete. And one day, one of them phoned me and they were talking, and they said, "Do you read all those messages?" I go, "No." They say, "Well, what do you do with them?" I go, "Delete." And they were horrified because I said, "No, I don't want to be in that drama. It's not good for my soul, so I'm not going to consider it." Because they wanted the drama to be real. And I think it's the same with the wars that are happening. We want people to be wrong. We want people to be suffering. We want people to be in that wrong situation. And when I remember once driving to Quail for a Monday evening meeting. And I don't know if you remember or if you were here or if you were in England, but just trying to think of his name. Marcus Juster got arrested for embezzling all that money. Do you remember about it?
Vaguely, yeah. Sort of rings some bell.
It was to do with the Steinhoff saga.
Yeah.
I remember when I was driving to Crane and the news came on that he'd been arrested. And I could feel how much I wanted him to be guilty. It was really bad, Jono. And when we got to Crane, I told him, I'm really experiencing this. And we actually did a whole thing just on how our egos want other people to be wrong. Anyway, I decided he needed some forgiveness. Over the years, obviously, with all the forgiveness and everything else, I felt a lot better. I didn't feel so bad about wanting him to be wrong. And then last year, a whole series came out on TV about it, and I watched it. But I was so unattached to the outcome. I could feel that very clearly. And then I began to see, firstly, nothing happened, which is quite a weird thing to say. But what I really saw was how everybody colluded with him, which is very hard to explain what I mean by that. But when people are involved in that, they collude with each other to have something like that happen. And I was like, oh my word, I'm seeing this from such a different point of view. And exactly what our lesson is about today. I could see this is something that's playing out in the world. I could see how people colluded with each other to invest money in his projects. And it was like, oh my word, I literally saw it from a whole different perspective. And I realized he hadn't actually done anything wrong. Yes, he didn't embezzle the money. He actually had like a pyramid scheme thing going. But people were so greedy that they invested money there. And just seeing it differently, I had a whole different feeling about the end of the outcome, and not wanting him to be wrong anymore. I could just let it all go. It was quite an amazing feeling.
Yeah, well, that's forgiveness, isn't it? It's amazing how it liberates you. So you learn not to give gifts you cannot emotionally afford to give. This is a great line. When you resent helping someone, this creates obligations, duality, and separation. You cannot psychologically afford to give such help, and the recipient cannot afford to receive it. So helping someone and then you resent it, rather don't do it. That's what he's saying, which I'd agree with. If you help someone and then there's this resentment that goes along with it, then there's a psychological cost for both of you. And it's not pleasant at all. So it's either given, the gift is given freely or don't give it. I think it was Quail actually. You remember he told that story about the lady he brought the glass sculpture to, which
Yeah,
I still can't quite believe that she did that. But apparently, yeah, she just destroyed this beautiful glass sculpture they brought all the way from Murano in Venice.
but
And
he was
she just broke it willfully. Like, okay, I'm just going to destroy it because it's gonna break anyway. I mean, you're just like, oh my goodness, you got to be
no,
kidding.
I think what Craner was trying to let us see is firstly, how are we giving a gift?
Yeah.
Are we giving it with expectations attached to the gift? Or are we giving the gift freely that it can be done with whatever we like, whatever that person likes? And if they don't like it, give it away or whatever.
Mm.
But
Mm.
we so often give a gift with an attachment to it.
Yeah. Exactly.
And
It's not really a gift.
then it's
That's
that
a great. I mean, that is a radical story, but the whole point of it is to show you the principle quite
and
quite clearly.
that's
It's a great teaching
exactly
story.
it's exactly that, how are we giving a gift? And that's exactly what this is all about. How are we
Mm.
giving a gift? Do I, like Hazel say, but I gave them a gift and they never said thank you. I said, but they don't need to say thank you.
Mm. Mm.
And
Or worse,
that,
you give a gift and then you say, "Oh well, I want it back because you didn't behave like you didn't behave like I
exactly,
wanted you to behave, so I'll have it back." It's like, well,
yes,
then don't give it in the first
you
place. And
know,
someone once gave me and said, "I've got you a gift," and then she wanted me to pay for it. I'm like, that's just bizarre. You can't get someone a gift and then say, "Oh, by the way, there's a gift, but I want you to pay." I'm just like, no. No, 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 no,
and
no. No clue.
so that story, I want to tell you, pushes my family's buttons like you cannot believe. When I tell that story that Craner tells
Yeah,
about that Murano horse and the
yeah,
glass, how he carries it carefully all over the
yeah,
world
yeah,
and brings it back, it pushes my family's buttons, no end. And the
yeah.
first time Craner ever told me, my buttons were being pushed very hard.
Yeah.
But the more he told the story, the more I began to see it isn't about the story, it's about how
Mm.
we're giving a gift and how we're accepting a gift.
Mm.
And I went, oh my word, that's exactly what it's about. It's not about the story attached to the gift at all.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
it was a big lesson for
it's a
me too.
great teaching device by the Holy Spirit. That whole story. Obviously, she did it because it's a lesson, and then the story gets told, and you can learn from the extremity of it. Because yeah, on one level you go like, how can you do that? That's terrible, and that pushes your buttons. But on another you go, but actually, it's just demonstrating this principle, really, really clearly. Okay,
Very
so
clearly.
when you can help someone, you
Yeah.
want to read the next one. When you can help someone
When you can
the
help
feeling of
someone with
love
a
and
feeling
oneness.
of love and oneness, you just do it because it feels good to you. When you feel oneness with another, there is no giver or receiver. there is just us here. It's like one hand washing the other. You are just letting energy flow through you. Life works best when you love, serve, and allow your loving energy to flow, not from a lower consciousness motivated by, I'm helping you, I will save you, but simply from the awareness that Spirit gave this energy to me and it feels good to pass it on. Amen.
Yeah, I love how it's expressed that.
It's beautiful.
Why do we give? We give because it feels good to give. So I've got this, it's not really mine, it feels good to pass it on. And whatever gift I'm giving, I'm passing on this loving energy. However I'm giving that. It might just be my time. It might be a physical gift that I'm giving. It might be my presence, my attention. But it just feels nice to do that. And, you know, that's what generosity then connects us with, that good feeling of passing it on, which is why it's really a gift to ourselves. You know, as we give, we receive. It's so simple. I mean, these things are not rocket science, and these are, you know, very ancient spiritual teachings. In all the great teachings, they talk about the idea of giving, making, you know, service, giving to others, loving others, as a way to a happy life, because you connect with this loving energy. Then the more you do that, but of course the ego doesn't want us to know that. The ego is always, well, what's in it for me? I'll give, but what can I get in return? Whereas this says, I'll give just because it feels good to give, and I'll pass it on. And well, what you do with that, that's none of my business. I can't dictate how you'll take the gift, but I can just give it freely and generously, and it feels good to do that. So why wouldn't I do that? You know, I'm feeling good and expanded, and that in fact is the gift that I receive. You know, as we give, we receive. It's one of the major teachings of the Course. As I give it, I receive it because I'm feeling good. I'm feeling connected, loving, expanded myself, and that's what I want to feel. So whatever you do with it, I have that feeling, which is why we haven't lost, we've gained by giving. But you have to look at it beyond the physical. You have to look at it from a mental, emotional point of view in order to understand that. And it's a very difficult lesson for many people to understand, actually, because if you look at it from purely the physical, then it doesn't seem like giving, you know, is how can you receive when you give, because you've given something away and you've lost that finite thing. You have to look at it from the mental, emotional level to understand it, which is, of course, the whole point. That's what he's asking us to do. The only way you are going to understand that lesson is to understand the inner self and how you thinking and feeling. Okay, so that's the 8th pathway. Feels, loving, empathy. Problems of others like getting caught up emotionally in predicament.
I think I need to pack it up now.
Yeah, okay, no problem.
Because it's
So
11 o'clock here.
Yeah, we've done the 7 and 8, so maybe we'll do number 9 tomorrow. Number 9 is quite interesting because it interacts with number 7. It's kind of a caveat to number 7, so it's worth looking at both of them. But let's do that tomorrow. So if you are available tomorrow evening, join us at the time, yeah?
Okay, cool. Awesome.
See you tomorrow at
See you
9.
tomorrow at 9 o'clock.
All right.
Okay, Donald. Have a good night. Sleep well.
You too.
Go well. Bye.
All right. Namaste. Bye. All right, so that is a wrap for today. If you enjoyed this live session, then why not head over to lifebuild.com. You can see that in the background. Just type in lifebuild.com, or there's a link below in the description of this video where you can find that, and you can sign up to receive a daily inspirational quote and a free meditation, a blog post, as well as invitations to join these live sessions and other free resources via a Telegram group that's accessible from lifeball.com. So check it out, sign up, and maybe I'll catch you in one of these sessions soon. You can also subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. Would appreciate that. If you enjoyed the content, you'd like to be notified by YouTube whenever I do go live, which is 2 or 3 times a week, then hit the subscribe button and you'll be notified. Hope you enjoyed that. Drop a like and please put your comments in the box below and I'll answer them. Thanks so much for watching or listening, and I hope to see you on the inside soon. Namaste. It means the truth in me honors that same truth in you. Namaste.